Hello, everybody. Welcome to Global Hack Week Open Source. How is everyone doing this Sunday? Let me know in chat where you're calling in from. And while we are at it, I'm going to post the checking link so that everybody gets their Global Hack Week's points. Welcome back. All right. Thank you for coming to my stream. This is our second part of our three-part series, Hands-On with MCP Servers. And today we're going to build our first MCP server. I have a couple ideas, so I would love to hear from you in chat which one that you're interested in, and we'll go ahead and build out that idea. All right, no worries if you couldn't join the last session. We'll still be able to do a quick recap of the last session so that we can catch everybody up to speed. But if you need more thorough review of what we covered, be sure to watch the recording on YouTube. You can definitely still start. All right, excellent. Let's get started. Hi, everybody. I'm Wei, co-chair Major League Hacking. Here is a different fun fact from the last one, which is I created the open source MCP server. So you might have seen it at our intro to Copilot Coding Agent session, also known as Hacking with GitHub Copilot session. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. And the project is fully open source on my profile if you want to just check it out on my GitHub. Highly recommend you check that out. It is set up as a remote MCP server, so anybody can connect to it from their computers very, very easily. All right, we got some people joining from all over the world here. And where am I joining from? I am from my home base of Florida. The weather is really, really nice today. You might have remembered from my last stream, I was so hot, had to turn on AC, but I have a breeze today, so I'm super happy about that. I might go take a stroll afterwards. Can I get last session? Of course. So I'm going to show you the link to get all the sessions, which is right here. I'll post it in chat as well. So from this link, you will get access to all previous streams. You can see we're currently live with Hands-On with MCP Servers Part 2. But if you kind of scroll down a little bit, you'll see all the amazing sessions from our day 2 and day 1 of Global Hack Week Open Source. And this is our session on part 1 of our series. So definitely check it out if you want to revisit that. We had lots of fun. And I will cover some of the things we talked about here as a recap so that you know what to expect. All right. Thank you, 404, for dropping that link. Excellent. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to check into the event because we want to make sure everybody gets their Global Hack Week's points. We got another friend joining us from the UK. Welcome. And 404 is beating me at these chats, helping out everybody in chat. Hello to our friends from Pakistan as well. All right, now we have the checking link. Like, I would love to check in and get my point as well. So I'm going to do it using our, let's see. We installed a few MCP servers, as you can see on the list here. I'm going to use Chrome DevTools MCP server to help me check into the event. Let's see how well that works. I will use, I don't know, what's a good model? Maybe I will use GPT-5 codex, just for fun. And I will say, help me check into this event. Boom. Using Chrome DevTools MCP. My email is, that's my email. And let's see if it's able to help check me in using the MCP server that we set up last time. I will allow for now. Okay, it's opening up a Chrome window and it loaded up the page for our checking. All right, now it's trying to click on this button here. I will just do always allow for now. And it's asking to log in right now. And now it's trying to enter my email address in the login form. Always allow. Let's see who does it faster, you or our trusty co-pilot here. All right, now it's asking me for a code. So let's see what the AI is going to handle it. So it's taking a snapshot. Maybe I can make this a little bit smaller. All right, so it's stuck at my MLH login step. I can't proceed without that code. Once you have it, let me know. Excellent. Let me check my email here. The code is 795898. So that is my one-time code for login here. All right, excellent. It just filled out the code for me. It's going to click continue. And just like that, I'm successfully registered. Does that mean I'm checked in? I don't know. Let's see. I did get an email just now. Okay, looks like I'm registered, but I still have to click check into an event. So let's see if our Copilot agent is able to figure that out and actually check me into the event. And it did. So in a couple minutes, it was able to open up the events page, put in my email, ask me for a code, which I provided it to log in, and it's able to figure out how to register and check into the event, which is pretty cool. I hope you all have checked in. Give me a thumbs up or +1 if you have checked in. Hello to our friends from Malaysia. Welcome, welcome. Done. Yes, this is really, really cool stuff. All right, thank you so much, everybody in the chat telling me that they have checked in. You can check in manually, of course, or in the future, maybe you can try out the Chrome DevTools MCP server and check into the events for you. Awesome. With that, let's kind of jump into what we are learning today. First up, I'm going to do a quick recap of what we learned in our part 1. We learned about what is a MCP server. We learned about MCP clients. So we also did a live demo of 4 MCP servers, GitHub MCP. We used Context 7 MCP to fetch project documentation, to aid our AI coding assistant and coding agent. We used Chrome DevTools MCP to simulate a checkout process on an e-commerce site. We also used it to do things like checking into the event, which we just did. And MongoDB MCP is a MCP server we used to explore and manipulate data inside a MongoDB database. So those were some of the things we did in the last session. And like we said earlier, if you haven't watched it, you can definitely go back to our streams and just click on the part 1 and watch that. I'm going to copy the link for anybody looking at it afterwards. You can go to that link. Excellent. Now, today, here's a session plan. We will warm up with a Wordle challenge. Hopefully, our coding agent is able to help us solve the Wordle using the Chrome DevTools MCP. And then I'm going to do a quick poll, and we're going to build our first MCP server. So this is going to be, actually, let me switch the banner. That's not the right banner here. This is a better banner. Make sure to check in and then ask me any questions in chat. All right, going back to our session plan. Once we decide which MCP server we're going to build, I'm going to actually showcase 2 different ways of building the project. We're first going to go full on vibe coding, working with the AI coding agent, Copilot agent, to work on the project, come up with a project. And then afterwards, I'm hoping if we have time, I'm going to use a new methodology, which is spec-driven development. This is a brand new open source project from GitHub that's going to help us create a project using specs. Very, very interesting stuff. So with those 2 different methodologies, you can compare and contrast and see what works best for which projects. That's kind of my goal for today, is to show you both methods. We also have the third part is going to be using a MCP inspector to inspect all the available options, tool calls, and other features that are exposed by any MCP server. So including the ones that we're building. We can also, if we have time, explore a few other ones just to see what the LLM sees when they interact with an MCP server. And lastly, if we have time today, or if not, we can do it tomorrow, we'll publish our first MCP server to the MCP registry so that anybody in the world can find it and use it. Cool? Does that sound good to everybody? Four is Batman, Flash, superhero. All right. Okay, so let's solve today's Wordle challenge. Has anybody solved it yet? If not, I don't want to spoil it for you. Let's see. All right, we're going to do it live. If this is something you usually do on your day-to-day, maybe you should close the stream for a few minutes, and then we can continue with our part 2. So I'm going to open up our little chat window here once more. And what is the best model for Wordle? I don't know. We have so many good premium models here. Maybe I'll use Gemini 2.5 Pro for this, just for fun. So solve the challenge at solve the Wordle challenge. Oh, I didn't ask it to use Chrome DevTools MCP. Oh, and I figured it out. All right, excellent. Continue. And it just opened up the page. It's too many windows. There. So it was able to figure out how to get into the gameplay. All right, it's now trying the first word. Okay, 404 is going to solve it. Let's see who does it faster. Arise. Got nothing. It's not looking good. Oh, that was cool. Got 3 letters in one go. Not a word. Gemini, what are you doing? Gemini, I need you to step up. All right, it's now clearing the letters. Start over, pick something else. We got 2 gray rows already. This one's hard. Oh. Yeah, so it looks like Gemini 2.5 Pro might not be the best candidate for this because it thinks it has solved it, but not even close, all right? Not even close. So I'm gonna try a different model. I will try Claude Sonnet 4.5. It was incorrect. Please continue solving. All right, looks like some people already got it, so you're definitely smarter than Gemini 2.5 Pro. So the model did read how to play, I believe, because that was the first modal that pops up. Oh, no, not bound. So close. So close. One more letter. Oh, wow. There are so many words that ends with OU and D. No, not found. Last try. This is the last try. But there's pound, pound, sound, wound, round. So there are so many options with OUND, and this is really a difficult one. Okay, that's probably a fail, I'm thinking. Let's see what happens. All right. All right. AI is not taking our job just yet, looks like. Some of you in chat probably already got it. That was the warm up. So thankfully, we know that AI is not taking us, replacing us in terms of Wordle just yet. It failed. Indeed, it failed. But it was a good try. It figured out all the possible words, but there are just so many options. 404 not found. Exactly. Yes. Oh. AI is not 1. AI is 0 right now. All right. Anyways, we kind of saw the capability of AI a little bit. I think, to be honest, I think Gemini 2.5 probably messed it up a little bit for Claude, so it wasn't too fair for Claude Sonnet 2.5, 4.5. But that was a good attempt. And it also thought it was the correct answer for some reason, but it was not the correct answer. So in the future, if I really want to build something that can solve Wordle challenges, I definitely need to tweak the prompt or the context to make sure that AI understands exactly what is the correct answer and what is not. So that is our warm up. Now let's jump into build our first MCP server session today. So I have 2 ideas. So hear me out, and I'll let you comment and vote. 404 found, 404 not found found, and 404 not found did found. Excellent. All right. So I have 2 ideas. First idea. Has anyone heard of Hacker News? Give me a thumbs up or +1 if you have heard of Hacker News. Excellent. So some of you have heard of Hacker News. This is essentially the anybody can post here, right? And then everything you can see here are usually the latest developments or news in tech, and they're quite relevant, especially like for someone who's trying to get into technology or keep up to date with the latest development of technology. So my first idea, is to create a Hacker News MCP server so that you can interact directly with the news from your AI agent. You can ask the question like, what are some things on the front page today? Summarize the latest trends on AI or latest news articles on AI. What are people asking? Because there's also an Ask Hacker News section. So those are some of the things that you might be able to do with the MCP server, and you can continue to add that into your workflow and do things with whatever the MCP server gives you back. So that's the first idea. Okay. All right. Some of you have not heard of it. Some of you have heard of it. Excellent. And the second idea is more for Global Hack Week specifically. So, we have a Global Hack Week schedule, and sometimes like it is a little bit difficult to see, okay, where is the next session for hands-on with MCP server? When is part 3? Like, if I'm just looking at this website, I have to click through. Okay, day 3. All right, let me see. Where is this? Where is this? Day 4. Where is this? Okay, is it actually on here? Oh, it's on day 4. So and then I can find it that way. So it's a little bit of a trouble to me. Like it's hard for me to explore sessions and find out exactly like when things are. Like maybe I also want to learn about vector database, or I want to learn about AWS cloud. I know some of our awesome streamers are streaming on those topics, but I don't want to kind of go through every single tab to look for them. I mean, I kind of know there are sessions, but I don't know the time, I don't know the description or the title for them, so it makes it a little bit difficult. So my second idea is a Global Hack Week MCP server, and you can use AI agents to talk to it and ask questions like, when is the next hacking or hands-on with MCP server session? What are some sessions that you recommend for cloud? Or what are some sessions on open source, building vector databases? Anything you can think of, you can ask the AI agent directly, which it will then connect to our Global Hack Week MCP server to query and get answers. So those are my 2 options. Let me know in chat. Do we want to do Hacker News? You can just type in HN or Hacker News, or Global Hack Week MCP server. You can type in Global Hack Week GHW. Let's see. We'll give everybody maybe a couple minutes to decide. Just give me the preference, like which one would you like to do? Maybe if we have time, we can do both, but let's focus on one. So HN or GHW? Let me know in chat. We got GHW, we got HN, GHW, Hacker News, GHW, Hacker News. Got quite a few different votes here. We'll give everybody maybe 90 more seconds here. In the meantime, we can kind of read through some of these articles. Open infrastructure connecting the Internet of Agents. That's pretty interesting. Four times faster LLM inference. Django. I didn't know Django was an ORM. All right, cool. Looks like we got a few more answers here. It's a little bit difficult for me to tally it, but let's try. Global Hack Week 1, Hacker News, Hacker News, Hacker News, Hacker News. Global Hack Week, Global Hack Week, Hacker News, Hacker News. It's almost like a tie, to be honest. All right, Global Hack Week, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 Global Hack Weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 Hacker Newses. All right. So sounds like we're going to go with the Hacker News MCP server. That's going to be a pretty cool project, I think. If I have time, we may be able to do the Global Hack Week MCP server either later today or in my next session. With that, let's get started. So first off, I did some research. Essentially, like this is the Hacker News homepage, right? They have some APIs that you can use to query for all these results. And there's one that I found that's really, really useful. It's from it's at this URL, hn.algolia.com/API. And it enables developers to access Hacker News data programmatically using REST API. And here is the full page documentation on all the available endpoints that you can use. All right, we have a question in chat here. With this information, if a website does have a schedule page, can we transfer the knowledge and build an MCP server to get information on there? I'm not sure what you're asking. I guess you're asking, like, if we build the Global Hack Week schedule MCP server, can you then use that kind of same method to build the schedule page for another MCP server for another website? If so, that the answer is yes. All right. By the way, let me know how my music is, like the volume is doing. Should I lower it? Maybe I'll lower it just a tad. Just want to make sure everyone can hear me. All right, so let's go back to the Hacker News API here. You can see here is an example API that can get you some information for each item. You can also search, sort, which is very important. Like if I want to see anything, everything on the front page, I can use tags front page to look for it. And then, yeah, and then there's a rate limit of 10,000 per hour. I'm hoping I will never hit that limit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, now, what does everyone do when they want to start a new project? There are a couple ways to start, of course. I like to create a folder first. So thank you for the clarification. So Hacker News has an API. If the website doesn't have an API, how do we go about it? So there are a few different ways you can go about it. You can scrape the web page. There are many different ways you can scrape the web page. You can pre-scrape it. Like if we were to do the Global Hack Week website, I will probably just use the MCP server here, to be honest, Chrome DevTools, and just say, get all the schedule information into a JSON or a database or a CSV or something so that we can work with that data directly. You can also use third-party platforms that's designed for scraping. There are also other libraries that you can use, code that you can run on your computer to scrape all the information. But we won't cover that today. Hope that helps. All right, so let's start with like full-fledged vibe coding. Let's like vibe code a Hacker News MCP server right now. And the first thing I'll do is open up a VS Code window. I'll open up a brand new one, and I will open a directory. So I will do File, Open Folder. And I'll just put it in Downloads for now. I'll name it Hacker News MCP Server. Maybe I'll call it Vibe. Is that good? I think that's fine for now. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for the reply there. Okay, so you can see I already have these 4 MCP servers installed. Since I'm not planning to use MongoDB, I'm just going to uninstall it to save some tokens, because anytime you have an MCP server enabled, it's going to be sending information about that MCP server to the LLM, and that's a waste and it's a distraction because our project doesn't really need it. So I'm going to uninstall the MongoDB MCP server for now. And I'm also going to uninstall the GitHub MCP server for now, and I will reload this window. So those should be gone. And now I have Context 7 and Chrome DevTools. So we talked about Context 7. This is a really, really good library, MCP server that you can use to get information about libraries, right? So you can query for latest documentation, and that way, like, the code that you write will work with the latest versions of different packages and things like that. So we have that installed. That's awesome. Now, to start a vibe coding project, I'm just going to start typing here what we're trying to do here, right? So let's say create. Okay, so we have a message in chat. Another idea could be the vibe code, the spec, then proceed with developing the code from spec. So we're going to actually go through a full spec kit workflow, which does vibe code a spec initially, and then you have full control over the spec. We're going to use this library here, this new spec-driven development process using AI, but we'll do it afterwards, and we can see the difference between the two methods, right? So I'm just going to start typing here. I will say create a MCP server for interacting with Hacker News API, and then I'll paste in the URL at this link. Users, what else should I put here? Users should be able to search articles, find latest articles. Do they call it articles or posts? Or is it just items? Search. I don't know what they call it. Let me know in chat if you know what these are called. Posts? Articles? They're not articles. So let's say search posts, find latest posts, find posts on the front page, expose all available APIs through MCP server. Something like that. All right, great question, a great suggestion here. So do both the things with task specialized LLMs. LLMs will figure it out. Yeah, that's a great idea. Where are the coding challenges? So for Global Hack Week challenges, you can go to our Global Hack Week website and click on challenges on the top, and you can see all of them. So I will send that link in chat for you. But let's continue. Let's continue here. So we have all our APIs here. And I've said expose all available APIs through MCP server. And one thing we tried yesterday was the Context 7 MCP server, which was really cool for documentation. So I'm going to say use Context 7 for all documentation. Anything else I should add here? Maybe I can say something like build a MCP server that runs locally with standard IO protocol. So there are different protocols you can build. So for now, for simplicity, we'll build a MCP server that runs locally with standard IO protocol. I think that's sufficient for now. I'm just gonna hit send and see what happens. All right, so now it's looking for a library called Model Context Protocol MCP, always allow. And it's trying to fetch the information about APIs, always allow. All right, so now it's getting some more documentation for building MCP servers. You can see Context 7 actually returned some code snippets and descriptions of how to build it. All right, and it has created 4 to-dos on the top here. You can see four tasks here. It's first going to initialize Node.js project with TypeScript. It's going to create Hacker News MCP server implementation, add README with usage instructions, and create and build and run scripts. So everything looks good. I'm going to say always allow. Excellent. So it has created the package.json file, which lists all our dependencies here. And it has also created a TypeScript tsconfig.js JSON file to define our TypeScript compiler options and configurations. Okay, so now it has read all the available endpoints on our website here, algolia.com API, and it's now implementing all the API endpoints. All right, by the way, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the chat window below. We would love to have an exchange if you have any questions. All right, thank you for your message here. Hi Wei, new to this MCP topic. Can you suggest some free resources to learn? So watch my session from last week. That's actually a great resource to get started. So once again, that is on the MLH streams page right here. You can watch part 1. We also have some resources. So Model Context Protocol has a website. They have their own website called modelcontextprotocol.io. And on there, you can find a lot of resources on what they are, what are some of the things you can do with it, what are MCP clients, servers, and how to develop on the MCP server. And that's exactly what our Context 7, what our LLM was able to read through the Context 7 MCP server. It was able to read the documentation here, and it's now building the project for us. So you can see a number of folders have been created. Source index.ts. All right. So here you can see our application code. Let me just make everything a little bit smaller so we can see the code window better. You can see it's created a MCP server, and if you actually look at the example here, you'll notice a lot of similarities, right, with the project, how it's working. So Model Context Protocol SDK Zod3, and those were the packages that were installed. And this looks a little bit familiar. tsconfig looks familiar. So essentially, like even this looks very familiar, right? All right, exactly the same. So essentially, our LLM was able to read the documentation through the Context 7 MCP server and implement our application using the best practices there. All right, another question in chat here. What are some of the things you base on selecting an LLM model? In the previous examples, I used Grok, Gemini, Claude. It's really a trial. Just try different models, see which one works best for you. Different models have different capabilities. I find Sonnet 4.5 is the best for coding for the for most tasks. Grok, I feel this is free. That's why I was using it. Grok Code Fast 1 Preview is free, 0x. And then, GPT-5 Codex is also pretty good at coding. So they have different personalities and they have different, like they output things differently. So it's just really something for you to try out and decide which one works best for you. And you can also always try different ones. All right. Thank you so much for your chat reply there. All right. I bet there are already kids who think this is normal rather than amazing. Yes, I agree. I agree. Oh, yeah. So for sure. So there are benchmarks that you can compare on the website. That's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up. But some of them like don't really apply to some of our more mundane basic projects. They're going to perform not that differently for simple projects. Just keep that in mind. Yes, they are ranked on different areas, so definitely check out the benchmarks. Winsome says, I use Grok Fast 1 myself in Klein. Excellent. I think it's free there too, right? That's the best part. All right, awesome. So we'll continue. It looks like it already created all the code necessary here. And it's created a bunch of things like project summary. So you can see everything that it's done, which is pretty cool. So let's read through everything that it has created. This is all generated with this single prompt. So if you're interested, I will paste it in the chat window for you to try out later. But this is essentially like everything I put in the prompt for the AI to create this whole project, right? Oh, it's a little bit too long on YouTube, so it might be cut off there, but on Twitch, you should see the full text. All right, so let's take a look at, I'm going to keep all the changes here. You see it created 11 files, 1,500 lines, but some of the lines were package.json, so that doesn't really count. So I'm just going to click keep here, and we can read through this real quick. This is a complete MCP server implements the entire Hacker News API through 15 comprehensive tools. That's pretty cool. It literally went through every endpoint that's available here and created a MCP tool for AI LLMs to use. So here are 15 tools. You can do search, content retrieval, lookups, author lookups, comment retrieval. So that's pretty cool. It runs locally, standard I/O, files created, main MCP server. So you can see with our vibe coded output here, everything is in a single file, 700 plus lines of index.ts that has everything. It's cool, but not great in terms of architecture and readability. But let's keep going. We have configuration. That's cool. You can configure and then also create a documentation to show you how to configure it on different clients, Claude, and some example things that you can ask, like search for topics about AI safety and things like that. That's all pretty cool. Like it's able to generate all those in one go. And here is a list of all the available tools. Technical stack. All right, excellent. So since I used Claude Sonnet 4.5 model, it knows the most about Claude, and it assumed you were going to use Claude Desktop to interact with, this MCP server, which is understandable. All right, what else should we look at? README. So it's a very, very clean README with like a title, description, features, and installation instructions and how to use the servers. So that all looks really good. All right, now I'm going to try out this MCP server. So there are a few ways you can do this. For this example, I'm going to add, since we're in VS Code right now, I'm just going to add a new file under .vs code directory called mcp.json. So anything you add, any MCP server you add in this file will be exposed to this. So any MCP servers you add in this file will be available in this folder only. So that makes it very easy to test it inside this folder without interfering with other MCP servers globally. So let's go ahead and add servers. Here's an example server. So I'm just going to call it HN MCP server vibe. And then the command is going to be node. So if you look at the README, it tells you exactly how to run it. So command is going to be node, and we're going to have argument is going to be the build.buildindex.js file. So we can do something like that. Yep. And we don't need environment for now. All right, that's it. So we defined our MCP server.json and added our new server here. Let's look at the chat here. We have a question applied to the MLH fellowship. Oh, okay, so yes, we can talk about MLH fellowship at the end during Q&A, or you can ask that on Discord. You just don't want to take away from this code, this workshop for now, but we'll have time at the end or on Discord. All right, so we have another message in the chat here. In my case, the project summary was not created. The rest looked fine. Yeah, so like different AIs, different LLMs do things differently. And when you have like a vague, just the general project description, it will try to make a guess of what you're looking for, right? And it will do things it thinks is best. So in this case, project summary was created, but a lot of times it won't create it. And maybe it will create some additional files too. So that's all okay. But we'll take a look at our spec-driven development using SpecKit, which will make everything a lot more predictable. So I just want to try out both methods, right? So now everything looks good. I'm going to click Start right here to start the MCP server, okay? So the button is right above the MCP server name here. I'm going to click Start. And just like that, it has started. And if you notice here, 15 tools available now. And I can even look at output. So I can say show output, and you can see the Hacker News MCP server is running and discovered 15 tools. And we can also explore the tools by clicking the tool icon here and just collapse. You can see the HN MCP server vibe, and that's all the available tools that are exposed to our AI LLMs. Right? It's pretty cool. All right, so now let's test it out. I'm going to open a new chat window. And for this, I'm just going to use my free Grok Code Fast 1 preview model since it's free. I don't want to burn through my Claude 4.5 credits. So I'm going to use that model and ask some questions. So in the examples.md, we have some questions already that we can try out. So I can say, what are the top stories on Hacker News right now? I'm not even going to mention Hacker News MCP server. Let's see if it's able to figure that out. Okay, so it was able to identify this tool call, run get Hacker News front page from our MCP server, HN MCP server vibe, hits per page. So it's going to give us 20 results, and we're going to click allow. I'm just going to say allow, and maybe I'll just hit allow each time so that we can see the tool calls. All right, and just like that, it is able to read some results here. Gave us 20 things on the homepage of Hacker News. Let's see if it's correct. I wonder if it's like matches 100% or not. So it looks like it doesn't match 100%, so maybe they have some different algorithms. But at any rate, these are the top articles on the Hacker News front page right now. We can try something different. We can say, find recent Hacker News posts about AI safety. All right, now it is running the search Hacker News posts endpoint or MCP tool using this query, and it's searching for tags, so stories. I'm going to click allow, and it's going to search again, maybe search for more, see more. Yep, allow. Oh, it's in the infinite loop. It got into infinite loop. So maybe maybe Grok Code Fast 1 isn't the best model to use for this question. So let's try again. It's a free model after all, can't expect too much. Maybe I'll try GPT-5 Mini and see what happens. If I had enough credits, I'll probably just use one of the more premium models because they have a lot more context window and capabilities. All right. Okay, so it's now running a search, and we can expand query AI safety. That sounds good. AI alignment. So it's querying for like different variations of the word AI safety, and hoping to get some more results. Is there any topic anybody else want to ask AI about? Maybe something that has been in the news recently. Okay, so it was able to find top news articles right here. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, so if you look through this, like all these articles are very much relevant, like in the last month or two, around AI safety. Ask it about MCPs. All right, let's ask about MCPs. Now let's try even like a different model. Maybe we can try, I don't know. I feel like Gemini 2.5 Pro is gonna be good. I feel good about using that for this purpose. Show me Hacker News articles about MCP servers. MCP. Is that good enough? Let's try that. Query MCP, that looks fine. Okay, so it looks like we have a lot of different articles about MCPs. This is a scary one. Superbase MCP can leak your entire SQL database, so you definitely need to be careful. OpenAI adds MCP support to Agents SDK. So this was a big one from the last week. That was good. Yeah. Now let's also ask about SLMs. Show me articles about SLMs. SLMs. I'm using 1 credit for each question. That's painful. All right, so it looks like there are a number of articles on SLMs as well. Uh, all right, cool. So I think everything's working as expected. Now, what I can then do, I'm going to stop the server for now. We're pretty much done with this project, essentially. Like this is completely ready to go. I can publish it. Anybody can use it on their computers. They can, or any MCP clients, for that matter. And I can, I can publish it on GitHub or anything like that. But I also want to show you how to build this same project using SpecKit. Has anyone heard of SpecKit? Spec-driven development. Can I make a GitHub repo for this? Of course, I will do that. So github.com/ oh, actually, there is a short URL. It's called repo.new. And that will redirect you to github.com/new. So I'm going to pick myself and I will say hn MCP server vibe. And I will grab the description here. Using Algolia Hacker News API. So this is vibe coded, right? I will create, and I will follow these instructions to push it up. So I'm just gonna run all these commands actually. So git init, git add. I'll add everything. I can probably add mcp.json as well, to be honest. That's probably okay. All right, so let's do git add VS Code mcp.json force. All right, so now all the files are added, and I'm going to commit and push. Oh, is it gonna work? Let's see. It does not work. So I think I have to do the HTTPS version of it. Because of my authentication. I think that should work. Let's see. Push. Yeah, that worked. So here's a URL for this project that we just built. And this is vibe coded. All right, so some of you have heard of spec-driven development, but you haven't used it. So this is a perfect time to try it out. Tried making to do with SLMs. I have not used SLMs, so I really can't really contribute too much on that topic. Maybe I'll do some research afterwards. All right, so let's go through the spec-driven development, and you can see the difference in building software, right? Vibe coding is like really great. It's become really good. You basically let AI take the driver's seat. You give it what you want, and the AI is able to just figure out exactly like what are the different components that you might be asking for, and it will try to build the project with that. So you can see a few things, right? It was able to create a README, so it knew like maybe if you're creating a project, you need some documentation. It created a source index.ts file, which is really great to have everything in one place, but at the same time, it's also not very readable because everything is in one file and it's like 700 lines. It created a changelog file, which is pretty cool. So it explained the changes it made and it created examples. So these are all things that the AI thought, like the decisions AI made. These information were not in my original prompt. I did not ask it to create these files, nor did I ask it to maybe put everything in a single file source in the source folder. So AI has gotten really good at creating MVPs like this, but with the power of spec-driven development, you can even take more control and have AI do more things more effectively and accurately. So here is a link to GitHub Spec Kit. I'm going to post it in the chat here. Definitely check it out afterwards. You can learn about what is spec-driven development in more detail, but essentially you will create specifications. AI will, using those specifications, here, let's kind of go through, create a plan, create tasks, and then lastly, implement tasks. So we'll go through the step-by-step here, but if you have time afterwards, I highly recommend you watch this video overview. That is just a very quick video for a few minutes. You can see all the power of Spec Kit. And today, let's kind of go through this together and yeah, and let's work on it together here. So first, looks like we need to install, specify. Choose your preferred installation method. We can just use the default command here, persistent installation. And in the meantime, I'm just going to open up a new terminal window. Terminal. You can use any terminal of your choice. And I will go to my downloads folder. And I'll just run that to install SpecKit. It looks like UV is not installed. That is not great. So now I need to install UV first. Okay. But I do have Python installed, I think. Python 3 version. Yes. So now I need to install UV, Python 3, install UV. All right, looks like we have a documentation right here. I will install UV. Oh, okay, that's cool. So now I'm going to restart my shell or run these two files. So I'll just run this file real quick. And now I should have UV, which UV. I now have UV and UVX. Excellent. All right, let's go back and install our specify command line tool. By the way, maybe I should make this a little bit bigger here so everyone can see easy. Okay, specify has been installed. So now I can do which specify, and this will tell me that it has been installed right here. That's perfect. Now let's create a new project. We can use specify init to create a whole new project. I'm going to say specify init hn MCP server. All right, so this is really cool. It created it's showing a setup page for GitHub Spec Kit, Spec-Driven Development Toolkits with the project name. Now we can pick what is our AI assistant that we want to use. So in this case, we're using GitHub Copilot, but you can see they have integration with a ton of other AI assistants out there. So I'm going to use Copilot, and I'm going to use Shell. If you're on Windows, you might want to use PowerShell. So on macOS, I'm using SH. Okay, and just like that, the project is ready to go. All right, and you can see the next steps. We first cd into the project folder. Let's do that. And we can start using these slash commands with our GitHub Copilot. All right, so I'm just going to do code dot. This will open up this folder in our VS Code window. Okay, so this is a brand new project, empty project, and you can see on the left here a few different files have been created. Namely, we have the .specify folder with different things that you can do with the specify toolkit. We also have some prompts, pre-created prompts that you can see on the right here that you can use directly inside GitHub Copilot. And we also have a VS Code settings file that tells us like what are the recommended slash commands that we can use in this toolkit, which are displayed here. All right, so now I can then start. I'm going to use Cloud Sonnet 4.5 for this project. So I'm going to use the same model just to show you the difference in their behavior using with and without SpecKit, essentially. So I'm going to do constitution, SpecKit constitution. And if we look at their example, establish project principles. So first, when you start a project, brand new project with SpecKit, you're going to use this constitution command to create your project's governing principles and development guidelines. So this is the constitution of the project. So I'm going to copy some of these things. Maybe I'll just say focus on code quality, testing standards, user experience, consistency, and performance. So we'll skip performance for now. And then always use the latest package versions. Always use context 7, MCP to retrieve latest documentation. What are some of the other things you can think of? Let me know in chat if you can think of anything else here. Okay. All right. I think this is a good starting point. Let's just press enter here. And now it's creating the project constitution. Avoid custom code when something already exists. That's a good point. So we can probably add to the constitution. How do you spell constitution? C-O-N-S, constitution. There it is. Add to the constitution. Avoid writing custom code in favor of existing sample code or packages. Custom one-off code where applicable. So after it finishes writing our constitution, I will pop this message in for it to make this update. Well, before I even started anything, it kind of assumed like I was building a Hacker News MCP server. That was pretty cool. Okay, so here is the constitution. I'm going to click keep just to take a look at what it has created. So everything has to be TypeScript. That's excellent. Coding style. Okay, so here's one thing. I really don't like ESLint and Prettier, I'm really much in favor of a new linting and formatting package. It's much faster and cleaner called Biome. I think some people pronounce it Biome. Let me know what is the right way to pronounce it. npm. Here's a library, Biome. So I'm going to say change it to use Biome. So update the constitution, use Biome for linting and formatting instead of Prettier ESLint. Avoid writing one of code. Okay, excellent. So let's take a look and just read through this and see if there's anything else we want to update. Yeah, function modules must have single. Yep, that's good. Documentation, that's good. Error handling, that's good. Testing. Test-driven development. Yeah, that's very important in an open source project specifically. Like you want to make sure everything is well tested. All right, and then user interface. We really don't have user interface apart from like the MCP servers, but we'll keep that for now. MCP server requirements, yep, always use that context 7 to retrieve latest documentation. All right, everything looks good. Development standard, code review, branching strategy. Okay, so everything looks good. I will hit send to make these 2 updates. Let me know in chat if there's anything else before we continue. Okay. So the next step is creating the spec. So this is describing exactly what you want to build. And here's the key thing here. Like the key thing, focus on what and why, not the tech stack. So this is very important. And this is the difference between the spec kit workflow versus the like pure vibe coding workflow. We want to make sure like you have documentation of exactly what you're looking to build. Yep, and it should be technology agnostic. So it's making the changes, version change 1.1 now. And let's see, did it update the Biome? Yeah, it changed from Prettier and ESLint to Biome. That's excellent. Prefer existing solutions. Okay, excellent. Everything looks good. We will accept, we'll keep the changes, and now we have a constitution. Okay, and they created the summary document. What is that? Okay, so this is the version summary, version change log, essentially for the constitution. Yep. You notice like everything is very, very well documented, and you can always audit it and trace back to exactly when and where something changed. All right, I'm going to click keep. Keep. All right, excellent. All right, I'm going to close it, and then now we'll go to our next step in our development workflow, spec kit development workflow, which is using the spec kit specify command right here. So I'm going to copy maybe from our last prompt here, go back to our last vibe coding project and just grab our initial Okay, so users, I think this is a good spec, right? Create an MCP server, Hacker News MCP server for interacting with Hacker News API at this link. Users should be able to search posts, find latest posts, find posts on the front page, and all other capabilities exposed by the API. So essentially, like if you take a step back, that's what we're trying to do. We want to create a Hacker News MCP server for doing all that stuff. So I'm going to click Go here. And this is going to create a specification. And just like that, we will auto approve. Okay, you'll see a new specs folder has been created and a first spec has been created, spec.md, under the folder 001 Hacker News MCP server. And it looks like it has went through and read the documentation for it. I'm not 100% sure if that was necessary, like if I needed to put that in, but you know, maybe for the specification we shouldn't have to do that initially. But let's just take a look and see what it does. And you also notice like I created a new chat window just for this command. That's always helpful because you can, you know, save some of your tokens and the context window anytime you work on a new task. So in this case, we're creating a new specification. I'll continue to create new windows for each command that we're running. So you can see a template spec has been created. There's nothing in here just yet, and our AI is going to fill that in. Can I drop the prompt here? Of course. So I will first drop the Constitution prompt. Actually, I don't know if I can go back right now. So I'll just copy this one for now. Spec kit dot specify. So this is what I just clicked. Oh, I can't seem to post to Twitch for some reason. Let me try again. Oh, is it because of the slash? Maybe it's because of the slash. Yeah, hold on. So add the slash yourself and this should work. Let me try now. Okay, that worked. So Twitch does not like it when I have a slash in the beginning. So here is the full prompt. All right, I'm going to click keep for now, and we can look through this file together. A new specification has been created. Hold on, why can't I move this over? Okay, so maybe I would right click and reopen editor with Markdown preview. All right, excellent. So you can now see a feature specification has been created, and you know it's creating different user stories of different features and acceptance scenarios. Given this, boom, boom, user stories, very useful. View front page posts, very useful. Latest posts, very useful. Individual items, user information, filter and refine search results. All right. So you can see like a full on like spec document has been created with different priorities also listed out along with the assumptions that we can see here. And this is a good time for us to actually go through every detail in the spec.md file, make sure it matches up with our expectations. So everything looks good to me. Let me know in chat if you notice anything that we need to change here. But overall, I think this will do. So now we have a feature specification. This is a document that you can share with maybe your team, your business team, and your product owners when you're working on a real world project. Now I can use the spec kit clarify, none currently required, so we won't run it. Spec kit plan to create the technical implementation plan. So let's open up a new tab here. Hold on, let me keep the changes first. And then we're going to open up a new tab here and use spec kit plan. I think that's all I need to do, spec kit plan, right? Let me look at our documentation here. Oh, okay. So with spec kit plan, you can now define things like technologies and the architecture you are looking to use in your project. So for this project, use examples, Node.js, TypeScript, examples on model context protocol. From model context protocol to create the project. And then some of the things I wanted to mention are like make sure to structure the app. I mean, I guess this is something that was already covered in the Constitution, but I'll mention anyways. The app, so tool calls are separated by file. Use file.me for linting and formatting, which we already covered in the Constitution, but just for the sake of it, I'll add it here. Anything else we want to fix? Create a user-facing README and documentation. All right, to create a standard, use standard I/O protocol. Is this good? Oh, sorry about that. Thank you so much for letting me know. I was just typing away. I'll send this in chat shortly. Thank you very much. Times2. All right, so use Node.js TypeScript examples from model context protocol to create a project. Use standard I/O protocol. Make sure they're structured out, and so tool calls are separated by file. Use file.me for linting and formatting. Create a user-facing README, and then create a user-facing README and documentation suitable for open source distribution and collaboration. And distribution collaboration, I think that's good enough. Anything else I need to mention? Basic tests to make sure the development succeeds. Yeah, so the tests are already defined here. You just in the Constitution, but I'll just mention it here as well. Make sure tests are written. You can see like it's really free form. You can really do anything you want here, and just dump all the information that you have to the LLM, and it will be able to structure it and output a document for you. So make sure tests are written and pass this before, or just pass this. Is this good enough? Anybody else? Okay, so this is what I have so far. I just popped it in chat. It's a little bit long, so I'm just gonna click go, and you can tell me if we want to add anything else. And the nice thing about having the spec-driven development is we can look through the documentation. If I don't like this, I can just delete it and try again. If I like most of it and I just want to make some tweaks, I can just ask it to make some tweaks. And this will really flesh out every single thing on this project that you expect. You would not have to, rely on LLMs to guess what you want. So that is kind of the beauty of spec-driven development, especially working on a team. I like how this is basically standardizing a bunch of best practices. Exactly. So this kind of forces you to go through these different steps and think of the project in a way that makes it more maintainable, more reliable, and less error prone. Okay, so now you can see it is creating a comprehensive implementation plan. So this plan will have everything that you can think of in terms of technical requirements, packages, like even folder structure and things like that. So everything, this is doing the bulk of the thinking behind the scenes for this project right now. So it retrieved some library documentation directly from context 7. I'm glad it did that because I told it to in the Constitution. It retrieved library documentation on Model Context Protocol, TypeScript SDK. See, and context 7 was able to reply with some sample code right here. And it was also able to retrieve some information on biome for setting up and configuring the TypeScript linting and formatting. So it's now creating a research.md file with all the technical decisions that we're making right now. So we can open up that file and take a look. Let's just open it up in the Markdown mode. How do I do that? Reopen editor with Markdown preview. All right, there. So you'll see a research.md file has been created that's called research and technical decisions. So programming languages, we're using MCP TypeScript SDK. Excellent. TypeScript strict mode, that's awesome. All right, HTTP client libraries for consuming Hacker News API. All right, using vtest and jest to test. Strong support and examples in the MCP repository. That's awesome. So I also thought about Python, Kotlin, Go, but we ended up deciding on the TypeScript SDK. Now we're also decided to use standard I/O. It is the recommend transport for local MCP servers. It also said mentions like alternatives like HTTP with streamable HTTP and SSE. These are also very, very helpful. Maybe we can add one of them in the future. Code quality, yep. So user explicitly requested using biome, I keep saying biome. but biome is, I think, is the proper pronunciation here, and it's 10 to 100 times faster than Prettier, which is really cool, and ESLint. I think it's built on Rust. And the best part is like you just need one tool for everything. Testing framework. So we're going to use vtest with separate unit integration and contract tests. That sounds good. And it gave us some structure to structure our folders for the different tests. HTTP client, so it suggested using the native fetch API, which should work just fine. You don't even need any third-party libraries for it. So I don't know if I need to go through everything, but essentially, like when you're working on a new feature or a new project, it is a great read to see exactly like why, not just what the AI decided to create for us, but like why it uses some of these technologies, the rationale, and even alternatives that you can consider. And you can always ask AI to make changes to this document. Right now, project structure, we talked about modularizing. They're separate by file, so now each tool will have its own file. Error handling, excellent. Rate limiting. So informational warnings, documentation. So I mentioned create a user-facing README and documentation suitable for open source distribution and collaboration. And you can see all the documentation that it will be creating. And then best practices. So these are some of the best practices it was able to figure out using the MCP website documentation. All right. So here's a summary. That's pretty cool. Now let's look at another file here. What other files did it create? Data model. So let's look at data model. All right, so question in chat. What about security? Is this something to add in MCP server to secure it? How to avoid vulnerabilities? Yeah, so there are two things that you can consider when it comes to MCP servers. MCP servers are essentially APIs that you're building. In terms of securing it, if you're using something like a shared, here, let me just kind of scroll back up here. Maybe I should reopen it. If you're using, if you're not using a standard I/O input/output for your, here, where is this? STPDIO. Okay, so if you're using standard I/O protocol, this is essentially running on your computer, right? So, like, you can't really abuse it. Of course, you need to trust the author of this MCP server to run it, but as far as the service goes, like you can't really hack into it or anything like that because it's all open source code that you can run on your computers. The problem comes up when you have like a HTTP MCP server that anybody can connect to from the world. And that's when you really need to worry about security and authentication because anyone can hit it thousands and millions of times, right? So you can use the methodologies of like OAuth to authenticate users or use like things like API keys to authenticate users to prevent any issues. And apart from that, like one of the things I asked AI specifically, I excluded specifically was security because in the interest of time, I didn't want AI to spend too much time on that. But you can definitely add in some additional prompts to the constitution or to the project plan so that AI can, look into those areas as well when developing the project and ensure everything's good to go. Hope that answers your question. All right. It'd be best interesting to see how SpecKit handles changing alternative node, even something more radical like re-implementing. Yeah, that will definitely be possible. That would definitely be actually like quite easy to do. But because I added in both the constitution as well as the plan that I'm going to use TypeScript, that's why I did all the research on TypeScript. If you asked to do Python, maybe I can create another task or another spec to do Python. It will go research how to write a Python MCP server using the SDK there. Well, you see in the third session, I don't plan on creating a OAuth-based HTTP streamable protocol MCP server in the third session. But if you would like, you can check out my MLH MCP server, which uses OAuth, my MLH OAuth to connect. So if you want to check out how I did this one, you can read more about it. So it uses my MLH API v4 OAuth for user authentication. And this is the endpoint for streamable HTTP transport with OAuth. All right. You are so very welcome. Keep your questions coming. All right, so I'm going to increase my max request to 50 just because it's hitting the max limit here. I'll say continue. And let's kind of go through. So we ran through the research, and now let's look at the data model. So we talked about the data model a little bit. Let's reopen it. All right, so here are some data models, entities. It basically pulled all the information from the API and created a TypeScript data schema, data model. The Zod TypeScript data schema here for Hacker News story, Hacker News item, Hacker News comment, and so much more. So it's doing all the heavy lifting right here. So in the end, when it comes time to implement, it's going to have everything it needs. All right, let's see. Another thing. Okay, so it looks like it is actually starting to create the project, which is unexpected because okay, hold on. Too much work is being done here. So I'm going to delete the source file and 1 second. I'm going to delete some of these files because the AI is, jumping ahead of itself in implementation. All right. I'm going to keep package.json for now. So as you can see, it also created vtest. Let me delete that as well. I'm going to do an undo here. No. Okay. Yeah, that's good. So research will keep. So we'll keep everything in the specs directory, but remove anything outside the specs directory. Because you can see like AI is trying to implement it out, but we don't want it to implement just yet because we just defined the spec and we just started with the plan. So let's look through the plan real quick, make sure it's sound before we continue. So here's the implementation plan. It looks a little bit ugly here. Let me see if I can fix it. Okay. Reopen with Markdown. Okay, excellent. So now you can see a summary of what we're trying to build here. That all looks good. Technical context, that looks good. Testing looks good. Performance goals, constraints, constitution check. Looks good. Everything looks good. And here is the folder structure is going to create. All right. So I think everything looks good from my end. I won't look through everything just in the interest of time. I have 20 minutes left. So let's go ahead and try the next command. So the next command in line, so just to recap, we did constitution, we did specify, create a spec, we did a plan. Now we can use this command to break the plan into actionable tasks. So before that, let me just go ahead and commit everything that we have here. So I'm going to say feature, actually I'll use this Copilot feature to generate a commit message for me, add initial implementation. So that's incorrect. So let's do docs, add spec, add project spec. All right, so now I'm going to use the spec tasks to generate tasks from our plan. All right, so we have a question in chat here. How well does it node to Python? Oh, okay. So that changes about choice. LLM, search for code bench by selecting LLMs. I'm not sure what your question is asking. So it hasn't created any code just yet. If I say, like, please use Python for this, I'm going to update the spec. So the AI is actually going to go out, do some more research using context 7, maybe pull some more documentation, and then create a new plan that implements the whole project using Python. So I hope that helps. And then about the choice of LLM, yeah, search for coding benchmarks when selecting LLMs, for sure. Yeah, you can search for coding benchmarks when selecting LLMs. Most of the modern LLMs, like the latest ones, are pretty comparable in my opinion. So you can just also just try them out for your specific use cases, because benchmarks don't always tell the whole story. Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you so much for your clarification. Okay, excellent. So now it's reading the tasks template and creating a list of tasks from our spec. So this is probably the most time-consuming part. I guess the previous step, creating the spec and the plan, is the most time-consuming part. Now it's trying to really split up all the plan items into actionable tasks, and then we can work on those tasks separately. Okay, a tasks file has been created. Let's take a look together. Okay, so first step, set up, create project directories, create node project, create TypeScript configuration. That all sounds good. Biome, vtest, get ignore readme, license package JSON. So foundational, define types, and things like that. So you can see they actually also listed out dependencies and priorities for the different tasks. And after phase 3, you can see user story 1. Once you can search post by keyword, the MVP is done. And it's saying use test-driven development process first. So you first write the tests and then implement. All right, that all looks really good. So there's a lot of tasks here. And you can see some of the things that can be done simultaneously. But for now, see, you can say, see parallel opportunities, you can do some of these in parallel. But for now, we'll just do everything in this window here using this one command speckit implement. So let me save the tasks in the repo docs, add initial task documentation. Sounds good. And then I will create a new window to implement. Yeah, so the nice thing about SpecKit is like you can literally visualize everything it's going to do, right? It broke down all the planned items into manageable chunks, into different tasks and phases that you can work on simultaneously. So if you're using an AI agent that can run sub-agents, you can really benefit from having, different agents work on things simultaneously for a faster outcome. Which is really cool here. You can see all the dependencies right here. So this is taking a lot longer. I mean, this whole process is taking a lot longer than the vibe coding method. But ultimately, this is going to make this whole project a lot more maintainable, manageable, following the best user practices. And if anyone comes in and say, "Oh, why did you use I don't know, Node.js for this project?" You can point them directly to the research.md. You're like, okay, we did this because of these rationale, these points. We also consider these options, but ultimately we decided to go with Node.js with TypeScript. So it's very, very useful for collaboration and also in the open source environment. It's now creating the git ignore and some license files for us. It's now creating the README file. That was cool. It's already created the README file here. And it gave us the example in Claude, like using the MCP server in Claude desktop. So that's an area maybe I've missed. I need to say, give me examples of using the MCP server in VS Code or any other MCP clients. So that's something I can create a new spec for if I wanted to, and have another task just for that. So we really have a great open source project in the making right here. I'm going to allow a lot of stuff here. All right, so right now it is creating the API client to connect with Algolia API. So you can see this is its own file under services. Much better structure than before, where everything is literally in a single file, right? It works, but it's not very maintainable. But here we have services, Hacker News API. Also created a class for making API requests, which is really nice. We also got error handlers to handle errors gracefully, which we really didn't pay too much attention to in the previous project. Oh, I should just allow this command npm run build so that the AI agent can automatically execute. Okay, so now if you take a look at the tasks.md, it just finished the first task right here. You can see phase 1 setup has been completed. Now it's going to phase 2. Okay, looks like phase 2, a lot of the phase 2 tasks have also been completed, and it's going to continue working on phase 2 and phase 3. So right now it's doing phase 2, I think, these 3 tasks. And at any point, like, you can pause it. You can say, complete phase 1 and 2. Let me just make sure everything looks good and make a commit for it. I wonder how many credits I have left from my Copilot Pro. I hope it's enough to get through this whole project. But if not, we'll figure something else out. I'll always allow command. Okay, it just wrote 62 tests and all passed. That's impressive. Thank you so much for your comment here. I'm really impressed with SpecKit and MCP. I know, right? Like, this is great. So one thing I noticed right now is the test is in watch mode. So maybe like I will just kill it real quick so the AI doesn't have to wait for it. All pass. Well, just real quick, none of the tools have been created yet. So these are just like plain validations for the data models and error handlers, things like that. So once all the tools are created, it's going to add some additional tests for each tool. And in the meantime, I think I need to update the test script to not watch. How do I not watch? Because when it's in watch mode, AI is waiting instead of like just stopping it once everything passes. But it's okay. It's starting this task, implement search post tool, is now implementing some tools now. Excellent. So I will save all the changes for now. Just make a commit. I will unstage this one. I will make a commit. And I'll say initial project setup. We only have like 3 minutes left, so we probably don't have time to wrap this up. But don't worry, we have another session tomorrow. All right, so add error handling and input schema. So that looks good. I'm just going to commit for now. And it's going to continue to iterate. It's creating a search posts tool, and it's now registering it. See here, it's not registering it here in the main index.ts file, which is really cool because everything's now structured. You don't have everything in a single index.ts file. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to our slides, and you kind of see how SpecKit works now. With SpecKit, we can really build things step by step, following the best coding practices, like some of you said, using constitution command followed by specify, plan, tasks, and implement commands. So I hope you try it out in your project. You can create a new project with it. You can also use this in an existing project by integrating SpecKit into your workflow. So we'll have time for a couple questions, so please pop them in chat and I will get to them. But yeah, the key takeaways today, we tried out Chrome DevTools MCP server a little bit more by checking into the event and also playing Wordle with us. It wasn't the best performance, so AI 0, human 1 for the Wordle challenge today, but you never know. Then we jumped into our MCP server development. We learned about vibe coding, like full-fledged vibe coding, and we saw a brand new project was able to be created, which I shared and published to my GitHub repo for a Hacker News MCP server vibe-coded version. We then learned about SpecKit, how to use the different SpecKit commands here to really follow the best practices in your coding workflow. So I hope that helped. And tomorrow we're going to wrap up this project, and we're actually going to publish it to the Model Context Protocol registry, so anybody in the world can use it, can discover it, and use it in their AI clients that supports MCP. So any MCP clients, and yeah, integrate into their AI workflows. With that, I'm going to pop in this feedback link right here. And I hope everyone can fill that out and let me know your experience joining the session. So here is the link to the feedback form, and all you have to do is select search for MCP and select hands-on with MCP service part 2 from the list here. All right, just let me know how you like the session, and if there's anything you learned or you think I can improve in future sessions, let me know. And a quick Q&A. I know we are running a little bit late, so I don't want to hold over too long. Okay, hold on. So yeah, impressed with SpecKit and MCP. Different thoughts. Yep, that's true. It is now using dist. Dist is probably the better, in my opinion, the better name, because that kind of clearly tells you that that is for distribution, and you should not commit that in your code repository. It should be something that's built during the workflow, but build folder also works. AI does beat me. I don't know. I don't know if that's completely true. We are the brains behind these AI tools. We need to be able to utilize them to do exactly what we want. SpecKit is very helpful to have standards, architecture, platform best practices, and well-defined in order to generate code. Yes, that's excellent. Thank you for that summary. Any other ID other than VS Code that uses agentic AI can do the same. Exactly. So if you go through the initial setup, you will be able to see that the SpecKit supports a lot more IDEs and AI coding agents. That's the tests, yes. But we told it to write the test. So can we please set the theme to dark mode? Ask me at the next session, and I will see what I can do. What are the tools and frameworks for building a custom MCP server with code? Great question. So you can look at this link here, Model Context Protocol, and you can find some resources there. They have information on Python, Node, Java, Kotlin, and C#. All right. You look like a curious-minded person. What methods? Hands-on method. So I have never used SpecKit before. I learned about it and tried it out, and I'm now showing everybody here about it. So definitely try things out in your own projects. What are the tools and frameworks for building a custom? Okay, I think I already answered that one. And here is the link for the frameworks and tools for building the MCP servers. With that, I'm already 3 minutes late. Next up is our Today in Global Hack Week, Day 3. So definitely stay on for that. You can hear about everything that happened in Day 2 and all the amazing sessions and streams that we have planned for you on Day 3. And if you're interested for my session next, it is happening technically tomorrow. I mean, it's technically Day 4, so that is happening right here. So if anyone's interested, you can click the register link to come to my next session where we will wrap up this project and we will publish it to the MCP registry for anyone to use. With that, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and stay on for the Today Global Hack Week, Day 3. Bye for now.